All right, wonderful. I think we are now live on Facebook. So that is fantastic. So, hi everyone. I am Cynthia Cohn, and thank you so much for joining us today. I'm here live from my living room and with a special guest joining me for this week's Fireside Chat. I'm very excited and I'm so grateful you guys have joined us today. As many of you know, I own my own residential real estate brokerage in Pasadena, California. My name is Cynthia Cohn, and I have been the owner of this brokerage for about a year and a half, and I've been practicing residential real estate for almost 20 years. I can't believe it. And one of my favorite parts of my business is really bringing people together and serving as a trusted resource to my network. I started hosting these fireside chats several months ago, and in a way to offer to you the opportunity to get to know some of my favorite trusted advisors in our community, and they are a wealth of knowledge. Every other week, I have invited an expert to come here at the fireside chat. I actually started doing it during winter when I would have my fireplace back here on. But we're going to just continue calling it the fireside chat because I think it's nice and it's friendly and it's open, and I just think it's a great name for it. So we're going to I've had several of these. The ones I've had in the past, we have discussed really the 2021 residential market, and including what it looks like through a buyer's lens. I've also had on Karen Dillon with Keller Williams, and she talked all about making investment purchases in investment property, 5 units and more. And that was a terrific talk introduction on that. We had the state of the Las Vegas market several weeks ago, where we had Delinda Crampton come in and talk about Las Vegas and why that may be a fantastic option for you or your clients or some of your friends that might be thinking about buying a second home or maybe relocating to a new area. And then also last 2 weeks ago, we had Phil Barbaro with a fantastic law firm right here in Pasadena. We're talking about really estate planning and all the issues around that and what you should really look for when you're putting together an estate plan. And so here we are today, here talking with Yolana Isham, a very good friend of mine who is a realtor in Arizona. And can I ask you, I'm hearing some background noise. Can you all please mute yourselves? All right, thank you so much. I appreciate it. So this week we have Yolana Isham joining us. Yolana is an owner broker as well, and she is with Exit Realty Expanded Vision. It's an A+ rated real estate brokerage located in Gilbert, Arizona, which is outside. Yolana, is that about 30 miles outside of Phoenix?
Yes.
Fantastic. Now, she has been a licensed realtor for almost 15 years. She has owned her own brokerage for over 10 years. And can you imagine when I met Yolana last year and she said, "Oh, I own my own brokerage," I was like, oh my gosh, be still my heart. Another woman owned residential real estate firm. And I was so excited to meet her. So she is actually a 2020 Fortune 500 market leader. She's a 2019 Forbes 500 market leader. And she's also a 3-year recipient of the 10 Best Real Estate Agents for Arizona Award and the 2019 to 2020 We Serve Presidential's Roundtable and Sales Award. She received that. She focuses on serving the community and building long-lasting relationships with her clients, her team, other industry professionals, and just people in general. And I think for some of the trusted advisors that are listening today, that's probably aligned with your values as well. As you can see, Yolana has just a wealth of experience with the Arizona market, and she's here today really to share some of her knowledge and tips with us. So before we jump in, I would love for Yolana to share a little bit about herself before we get started. Yolana, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Yolana Isham with Exit Realty Expanded Vision in Gilbert, as Cynthia mentioned. I had the pleasure of meeting Cynthia last year when we needed my father-in-law's home sold in Altadena, and Cynthia just jumped right in there and was just, she was just an angel. She was so very professional, and I loved that we had a good connection from the very beginning. So it's a pleasure for me to be part of the Fireside chat and just in her circle of realtor friends now. And so, yep, I'm happy to be here. I am originally from California myself. I was born and raised in Pasadena. And so I'm a Cali girl to my heart. Once you've lived in California, it's like that's always who you are, is California. So we've lived in Arizona. My husband and I, we moved to Arizona with our two kids, or with three of the four kids rather, in 2004. And at that time, I worked at Countrywide Home Loans. I was the supervisor over their wholesale lending division nationwide. And so I learned all the mortgage side of things. I did assist one of my husband's friends in California who owns his own brokerage there in Pasadena with helping people get pre-qualified to purchase a home. And so that's what initially sparked my interest in getting into real estate. So I went to school there in California. And then as soon as I got passed my test and everything, we moved to Arizona. So I had to start over. But I did the loan side of things for 2 years first. And then I, quit that. And I said, I'm going to school here. I did the 90 hours and 9-day crash course, and didn't have a plan B, because I feel like, if you have a plan B, that means that failure is an option. And that was not the case for me. I said, I'm doing this. I'm never going back to work for someone else. And so I'm making it happen. So I did my 90 hours and 9 days, got my real estate license, hung it with the wrong company, and then hung it with the right company. And I was with two other companies prior. And then I went and got my broker license in 2009. And opened up shop in 2010, which was the best decision I've ever made. I eat, sleep, drink real estate, probably the same as a lot of you. I know Cynthia probably does the same thing with her tenure in real estate as well, but I absolutely love it. The best part of it for me is just really the relationships and the connections that I make with other people. And I have great friends that I have met over the years, and great clients. And so it's been a joy. So this is me, Arizona, 17 years later, and still liking it here. And even though I'm like originally from California, I probably would never move back there again after having lived in Arizona. We have about 333 sunny days per year, and we have gorgeous weather, even though in the summertime it can get up to like 122. It's dry heat and not the humid heat, but it's just beautiful outside for so much of the year. So I really enjoy the weather. And since I've been here, we've had lots of other family members, all of my kids, all four kids, 6 grandkids, another grandkid on the way. My mom and dad, we just moved here last year as well. And then I have cousins and friends from high school that come out and visit, and like, we're moving to Arizona. So I got family here now.
Love that. I love that. And I actually, I appreciate you sharing your story. I was wondering, when you brought up the part about, moving from being a realtor into getting your broker's license, and now, opening up your own firm, what compelled you to do that, Yolana?
Well, I kind of knew just from when I was a kid that I was going to have my own company. It was something that I believe that the Lord showed me, and I thought it was going to be an accounting firm, but God had other plans for me. And so when I was working as a realtor and when I first got my license, I didn't know whether I was going to open up an office and then have agents, but I knew I wanted to be out on my own. I've always been pretty much a self-starter.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was just something I wanted to do. But my initial plan was to just open a brokerage and be my own broker with no agents, because I didn't want the liability, but that changed.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's great. And how many agents do you have working under you?
I have 13 agents.
Oh my gosh, that is so terrific. That's
Yeah.
really, really great. And
Yeah.
I'm looking towards building my firm
Yeah.
moving forward in the months to come. So I will
I've
probably
never wanted to be like a company that had like 100 or 200
have,
agents. I
right.
wanted to have a really small group that was effective and professional, that really made a difference. I don't need to have 100 people where, 10 people are doing all the work and the others just have their licenses
Right,
there.
right.
I
That's
just want us to be a really good team that has an impact on the community. So
yeah. Well, let's dive into some of these questions. What do you say?
yeah, let's go
All
for
right,
it.
wonderful. And I was going to tell you, I took my youngest daughter about a month and a half ago, I think, out to Arizona to look at Arizona State University and the University of Arizona.
Did she love it?
I was blown away.
Yeah.
I've been to Arizona before, but I've never toured the campuses, and I was really blown away. And
Yeah.
it ultimately, she didn't make that choice to go there. She's going to stay in California, but
Okay.
I was able to spend some time in Tucson and downtown Phoenix, which has
Yeah.
grown so much. So tell me, and this is what I love about having you particularly as my guest today talking about Arizona, is that you've already done this. You've
Right.
already made the move from California to Arizona. And in fact, like you mentioned, you have helped so many family members do the same thing. What is it specifically that you love? What is it specifically that you love about Arizona? And why is it such a great place to have a home?
Well, when we moved here because of the real estate. We owned a home in Pasadena that was over at the top of the Rose Bowl, and we thought it was a fabulous house and location. But when we came to Arizona, there was an opportunity for us to, have a brand new home built that was twice the size of what we owned in California for half of the price. Our first home here was 3,100 square feet, and we paid $176,000 for it in Gilbert.
Hmm.
And for us, it was important we didn't want to have to like live in a way that made it where we were working just to pay a mortgage. We wanted to be able to do other things. We wanted to have a good, safe environment for our kids to grow up in great schools and just opportunities to have more here than what we could have in California. And I feel like we moved far enough away to feel like we went somewhere, but still close enough to go back and visit when we want. But Arizona's real estate market from then to now has drastically changed. But the real estate, the environment, the weather, no earthquakes, which mattered a lot to me. All of those things just played a factor in, the affordable living here in Arizona. And so that really made us happy that we made that move here.
Yeah, yeah. And I was just thinking when you were saying that, what about fire? Are there many fires in
We
like
don't have many
Arizona?
fires here. There's one going on right now, actually, up in the Superior Globe area. There's a fire up there, but Arizona does not have like tons and tons of trees. We're
Mhm.
more desert. And so we don't have a lot of fires like California does because California has beautiful trees and landscape and all of that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, okay, so definitely that you could get a lot more for your money,
A lot
great
more.
schools,
Hmm.
safety, just all round. You feel like maybe a little better all
Yeah.
round lifestyle.
Yeah, and when the kids were smaller, they could go outside and play,
Mhm,
where I didn't feel like it was unsafe for them to be out there if
mhm,
I was inside or they want to go to the mall with their friends. I didn't feel like I had to worry as much here.
mhm,
So it was just, I think, really good all the way around.
mhm. Oh, that's great. And the homes that are there, when were most of them built? Is there a period of time when a lot of the buildings started? For instance, in
So
Gilbert?
that's funny that you asked that because when we moved to Arizona, the area that we moved into was a two-lane dirt road. There were cows right around the corner across the street. So there was a lot of that. The closest grocery store was like 20 miles away. And so there was a lot of that. But now I think that just with the, um, just with everything that's happened, like we've seen Arizona grow a
Mhm,
lot
mhm,
from being a lot of two-lane dirt roads. Now there's so much that has come up in that same area. Even before we moved, there was a school in right down the street. There was 4 lanes, and then we saw the grocery store, the bank, the cows got moved, you
mhm,
know um, all of that. But we've seen Arizona like really turn from being more of a desert place into an actual city, an actual place to live in and be able to grow in. Um, so I think that just with the change of all of the scenery, I think has been a really good opportunity for us and lots of people that are moving here, especially now.
Yeah, yeah. And I think you brought up a great point, and I hadn't thought about this as a pro. Just the location to California is unbelievable.
Yeah.
When I took Cassidy, I mean, literally,
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that it was a 5-hour drive from my
Yep.
front door to downtown Phoenix. Or
Right.
I could have taken a flight, and
1
literally, I looked
hour.
up the flight on Expedia, and it was like $48.
Yeah.
And then Tucson, yeah, it was, just seemed like just very accessible for those of us
Yeah.
on the call
I mean,
who
you
are
literally hop on the 10 freeway and just take it straight on out.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that could be a plus for a lot of family that maybe,
Mhm.
is thinking about moving, but still maybe have kids here
Yeah.
as well. So tell me, I'm so curious, are you seeing a lot of Californians moving, like especially to Phoenix? Because I was looking, if you guys you can go on U-Haul's website,
Yeah.
and just had pulled it up. I just really wanted to see when I was doing the call with Delinda in Vegas,
Mhm.
how the migration growth looked like.
Yeah.
And Arizona actually in 2019 was number 20. And
Right.
now in 2020 was number 5.
Yes.
So does that make sense to you? Are you talking to a lot of California?
Well, I think that COVID allowed a lot of people to be able to work from home during that time. And it gave people an opportunity to figure out that either where they were living wasn't really working for them,
Mhm.
um, or they needed to upsize, needed to downsize, needed more space. And then I think that as a lot of employers realize that they can have more employees working from home and not have to do the whole brick and mortar type thing,
Mhm.
that it just gave them an opportunity to see that they can actually move somewhere that, again, is more affordable than California, and really upgrade their lifestyle and still be close enough to come back and forth. Um, we have an average of about 500 people per day that move here from California,
Wow.
and that's a lot.
Wow. Well, what are they saying when you talk to them and you ask them, why are you relocating to Arizona? What do they tell you? What are their reasons?
Most of them are saying affordable housing.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, I
Yes.
have to say, speaking of affordable housing, I just pulled up the May trends for
Yes.
Pasadena, and I'd love to hear what your trends are. And I almost fell out of my seat for a hot second because
Yeah.
I know this is true, but I love really looking at the data. And the median for Pasadena, which let me find it with my
Yeah.
glasses on. Oh, this for some reason did I run it by median? I did. It was over $1.1 million for the
Wow.
median price, which was up about 23%
Yeah.
on the same period, May of 2019
Hmm.
to now. And the price per square foot right now in our area for Pasadena for May is $748 a square foot. In May of 2019, it was $608, and that's an increase of 23%.
Yeah.
So both our median and our average price per square foot over, and I'm pulling up 2019 only because I feel like last May was like, not a
Yeah.
good month to look at data. So I went 2 years back. So about
Right.
23%. What are you seeing there?
So we're probably something similar, but I think that our housing prices, as far as where we were in 2019 to where we were in 2020 to now, have changed drastically. I mean, we were initially an average price per square foot that was around 300, well, really around that 275 to $300,000 mark. Our average price per square foot right now is ranging in the mid 300s up to the upper $400,000 price range, which is a lot for Arizona. And I think that with the people that were coming in from California, part of the reason why a lot of people started coming to Arizona was because when COVID happened, our COVID numbers were low here. And people thought that we, were not really affected by COVID like the rest of the nation. And the truth is that we just didn't have tests available at that time. So that was when a lot of people started coming into Arizona from different places, but, primarily California. And so when they started coming, and the demand for housing went up, sellers were not putting their homes on the market as much at that time. So we had a very low inventory of homes. And then as COVID started, getting better and dying down, and sellers felt more comfortable with having people coming, into their homes to view, our sellers market just went crazy. And so many people were coming in because the inventory started getting lower and lower. They were offering way over list price for the properties, way over market value for the homes. And that started driving prices up. And then sellers were like, well, great, now I can sell my home for a lot more.
Mhm.
And then they started competing. Buckeye, Arizona, which is in the West Valley, is the #1 fastest growing city in the country. And that's because a lot of people from California are purchasing in Buckeye, Goodyear, Avondale areas, because it's so close to California. It's the first main area that you hit when you come into Arizona before you get into the Phoenix area. And so it's easy for them to come out. Those areas were not as built up as like Phoenix and Gilbert and Chandler and other areas. It wasn't as built up out there. And so then lots of builders started building homes. So people were able to come in and buy brand new homes for, less than $300,000 in that area. And so for them to be owning homes that are $600,000-700,000 in California, really small, and they can come here and get a brand new home for less than half that price, then they were doing cartwheels. And so that just, started that. And so that ended up sparking us to have to get really, really creative with how we were submitting offers for our buyers so that we can get them accepted. And for builders, their wait list were like over 100 names on the wait list in Buckeye and Goodyear and Avondale because the prices were super low there. And so they started coming in closer and closer, and then East Valley. And so now California has really driven our prices. California has driven our prices up. Sellers are excited, buyers are not, just because they're going up so quickly.
Oh my gosh. So what does it take these days to get an offer accepted?
Well,
Arizona,
if you're looking for resale homes,
Mhm.
you have to be willing to offer over market value. And if you're offering over market value, you can only do that if you have cash to pay additional down payment at closing over list price and you're waiving appraisal contingency. So if the home does not appraise, then you're obligated to still purchase that home at the price that you offered. You have to be able to show proof of funds for that additional difference. But kind of one of the things that we used to do as a strategy when it's a buyer's market is to be able to ask the seller to pay closing costs. And now buyers have to offer to pay the seller's closing costs, purchase homes as is, offer over list price, and be willing to waive appraisal. And, do shorter inspection periods. I don't encourage my buyers to waive inspections altogether. Just because even if you're agreeing to purchase a home as is, you don't want to waive inspections because if something major comes back, you still want to have the opportunity to cancel and get your earnest money back.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I
And
don't
so,
advocate for that
so,
either. My buyers rarely will ever do that.
yeah. And I usually have, my home inspectors usually will squeeze my clients in, even if they're busy, they'll squeeze them in for inspections. So even if we do a shorter inspection period, I don't have them waive inspections. If my clients say we'll just purchase as is, that's fine. But we have to take just pretty much every negotiable item in the contract and make it work in the seller's favor. So it's definitely nothing in the buyer's favor right now. We all know that a home is worth what a buyer's willing to pay, but nobody wants to pay way over market value for a property, but that's the market that we're in. So a lot of my clients, I'm taking them to new build sales offices because I have relationships at some of the sales offices. So they'll call me even when they have lists, if they have spec homes or something falls out. And so my clients have an opportunity to jump in. So most of the transactions, I think right now, every transaction that I have in escrow right now is a new build.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Every single one of them. But it's because I can get my clients into those much faster.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting. And in regards to when you're putting an offer in for a home that is resale, what does that look like? I know you're putting together very competitive and attractive
Right.
purchase agreements for those sellers. What can a buyer expect when they are coming to Arizona and writing offers? Are you seeing a lot of multiple offers, more than
Oh,
10, or what
absolutely.
is?
Yeah. The homes are staying on the market anywhere from 0 to 1 day. They're all going to get multiple offers on them, even if they need work. And some people are panic buying right now too,
Mhm.
just because of the competition. They're just trying to get anything. There's things that I think that buyers should consider when they are purchasing a home, especially if they're first time buyers. Just thinking about doing things like buying out in areas that are starting to really get built up, because that's where you're going to find where you can get more of the equity than the existing areas that are going to get equity, but not as fast as the ones that are starting to build up. And just finding out what's going on in those areas, what's going in those areas, and being willing to go a little further out to get your foot in the door.
Mhm.
There's a lot of big companies. Arizona is major as far as employment is concerned, on technology companies, healthcare here in Arizona. And so you're going to have lots of job opportunities, but we have a lot of the electrical vehicle companies that are coming out and having, huge buildings being built. Lucid Motors is coming out and building in Casa Grande. Nikola is building over in Coolidge. And those are not super built up areas, but they are in the process of doing that. So there's lots of building going on and a good opportunity to buy low and even brand new, because I got some of my California people that were wanting to purchase around that 250 to 300 mark in brand new homes out there for that price.
Wow, wow. So you had mentioned Buckeye, right, as one area that's really growing. And what are some other areas that you think are, listeners should consider if they're thinking about Arizona?
Yeah, so if you want to try to stay in a lower price point that's, under 400,000, I would say, consider Casa Grande, consider Coolidge. The city of Maricopa is a good area as well. Those are going to be Santan Valley and Queen Creek as well. Queen Creek is pretty much catching up with Gilbert on pricing, but Santan Valley still has opportunities as well. So those are some areas to consider. Higher price points, that are over like the $500,000 mark. You may want to think about Peoria, which is they have some beautiful areas in Peoria. Um, Scottsdale has some great areas as well. Paradise Valley, Fountain Hills, those areas. Chandler and Gilbert are always going to be very desirable areas because they're kind of centrally located. And so they're always great places to purchase homes. And then the city of Mesa, more so the East Mesa area is
Mhm.
great for, purchasing homes and just feeling like, if you want the feeling of being residential, like I'm home from work and not still in the mix of everything going on, those are great
Mhm.
areas.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. That's great. We're taking notes over here, so we've got that. So, well, really, what should someone interested in relocating to Arizona consider? What are some other things they really should consider if they're
Yeah.
thinking about
So pretty much, the things that are going to be important that you need easy access to in the community, even if you're working from home,
it? Mhm.
schools for your kids, if you have kids, if you need easy freeway access, if you're going to be traveling and you need to be closer to the freeway than not, or if you want to be in quieter areas. We have lots and lots of 55 and older communities here for our seniors, and they absolutely love it and have so many fantastic amenities right in the subdivision. I mean, from restaurants to gyms and movie theaters and craft rooms and, pickleball, all that fun stuff. So there's lots and lots of opportunities for even families who have, the grandparents that they want to be close by but want to feel like they're still in their own community. We have lots of subdivisions that offer that. So when you're looking, just make sure that you're getting, contacting the right realtor,
Mhm.
to make sure that you end up, just exploring the areas that you're going to be in that are going to best fit what you need access to.
Yeah, yeah. I love
Yeah.
that. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I wanted to really open up now to the audience and see if anyone participating on today's call has any questions. Anybody on our Zoom call have any questions? And if not, I think we have a couple questions from Facebook. So let's see, I'll ask Tori. Tori, what's a question? She's double checking and
Darius was raving too.
oh, okay. Darius, go ahead.
Unmuting myself. So I thought it was really fascinating what you guys were talking about when you're looking at square footage and price per square footage. We had a client that had bought a house in Cave Creek in 2019,
Mm-hmm.
and they were still living in La Cañada. And they basically sold their home in the second week of the lockdown in La Cañada. They got $850 a square foot in La Cañada. And in Cave Creek, they bought for $300 a square foot,
Right.
and they picked up 1,000 square feet. I mean, that is arbitrage. I really like that. I'm a numbers guy, so.
Yes. Yeah, a lot of the clients that we have that are coming here from California, even when we explain to them about the competition, I had one gentleman that was like, yeah, I'm going to be one of those people that don't care about offering over list price and waive an appraisal because I can never have in California what I can get in Arizona for that same price.
Mhm.
Yeah.
As kind of a follow-up, I'd like to ask Cynthia, what opinion do you have on California home values, let's say over the next 12 to 18 months? Where do you see our market going?
Well, I have been a homeowner in our community in Pasadena since 2000. And, I bought my first house for 470,000 here, and, I work with a lot of buyers, and I can tell you, Darius, what I'm seeing right now is, and like I just described, there's been a 23% increase. The biggest challenge we have right now is that the inventory levels are basically the homes for sale. There's a 43% decrease in the numbers. And this is a really supply and demand issue that we're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
So, and those numbers are not compared to last year. Those numbers are compared to 2 years ago when it was kind of, basically, somewhat of a more normal market. Yeah. So I would expect that we are going to continue to see appreciation. And as long as we have levels like this, I don't see that stopping at all. So, I just have had several calls today for people relocating. One gentleman from St. Louis coming here. I've got another escrow from someone from Texas coming to California. So even though we are actually last on the list, I think we were number 50 for migration growth. I still think, our area is always going to be so highly desirable.
Yeah, just one more question, and I'll open the floor to somebody else, but do you see movement in your market, out of your market into other markets within California?
I do. I've seen mostly to the Central Coast and a little bit down into Orange County, like into San Diego County. Yeah, so a bit, but not really around LA at all. Just it, maybe a little bit people relocating and just staying, in Pasadena, but more so, and I'm really talking about right now, just people that are at that point of their life that I've dealt with that are retiring, let's say.
I think that from my experience in California, and even now because we still have lots of family members that live there, people that live in Altadena, Pasadena areas in particular, like they love Altadena and Pasadena. So a lot of them, when they leave, they're still staying there. I think that a lot of the influx that we're seeing of people coming from California to Arizona are folks that are moving here from like Riverside, San Bernardino, some from Los Angeles. But you know, they're coming here not as much from Altadena, Pasadena, because I think that those areas are where everybody knows everything and everyone and what's familiar. But yeah, just more of like the Orange County. We don't get a lot of San Diego folks here because people like to be by the beach. San
Yeah.
Diego people are loyal to San Diego.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but
Exactly.
yeah,
All right,
we get a
terrific.
lot from Riverside.
Yeah, interesting, interesting. Did you have a question? Tori, I'm talking to Tori, my assistant.
Okay.
This is a Facebook Live question, and people are wondering, it's a bit tricky, but if you have any predictions for the Arizona market for the rest of the year.
So what are your predictions for the Arizona market for the rest of the year?
So it's been estimated that our market for resale will continue to grow value-wise. They're estimating about a 7% additional increase in property values here. But I think that it's probably going to be a little bit more than that. I have seen, like, over this last couple of weeks, it seems like, you know, instead of a home that would have normally went off the market today, you know, we might have 2 or 3 days. So I think things have slowed down just a tiny bit, but I think that with the prices going up the way that they've gone up, that it has eliminated some buyers. Some buyers have been priced out of the market here because they're just not used to, especially Arizona residents, they're not used to having to fight over homes like this. So some people have been priced out of our Arizona market, and some people that were coming here before because the prices were super low are finding that they're getting up there in value. And so they are starting to slow down just a little bit and just be a little bit more selective. But I think that they're too, you know, branching out to areas that are coming up and coming neighborhoods.
Yeah, that's why I loved you sharing that list. I appreciate that. And we will send that out to everybody that has attended those towns that you mentioned. I think that's really terrific.
Yeah.
Any other questions that we have? Tori, was there anything else?
If no one else has a question, I have one more question.
Okay, we have one more question for you, Yolana, and then we'll wrap up. Okay.
So this person is just asking how showings and open houses are being handled right now in Arizona.
Oh, that's great. So, you know, here in Pasadena, we just opened our the ability to conduct open houses. The question was, how are open houses and broker caravans being handled right now in Arizona?
Well, we don't really have an opportunity to really do open houses here in Arizona because the homes are only on the market for a day. If we have a new listing that goes on the market, depending on what works best for the seller, sometimes we have situations like I have a new property that's going to be going on where the seller can't really accommodate because they maybe work nights and sleep days type thing. So if we have a seller that needs us to do like an open house Friday, Saturday, Sunday to allow showings just those 3 days and then accept offers and then review them on Monday, we'll do an open house that way. But typically we do, you know, just blast out marketing techniques to get the properties out exposed. But there's multiple offers that come in. So open houses there's not a lot of that going on right now. There's not a lot of broker caravans going on because our homes are not on the market long enough.
Oh my gosh. So that's a little bit different than here. Usually we'll bring a house on the market and set a date when offers will be reviewed. So it sounds like what I hear you saying is, you know, for individuals that are thinking about purchasing in Arizona, that they better darn well have a great agent who's aggressive and can get them in the house as the number one showing.
Yeah, the best time to view homes, just so that you folks know, is Monday through Thursday. Because if you view a house on Friday, especially here in Arizona, you are going to be competing with weekend buyers and you're going to be waiting till Monday for an offer response.
I think.
Typically, you know, if you submit an offer on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or even Thursday, we can give the seller 24 hours to respond. to the offer, but if it's Friday, you're waiting. So if you're able to look at homes during the week, then that's the best time to do it.
Oh, great. Okay, that's really interesting point. Tammy and Dan Carson have a question here on Zoom.
We're wondering about getting information on 55 plus communities in Arizona and how we would be able to do that, or are there some that you can mention?
You mentioned that there were quite a few. We're just wondering what some of the nicer ones are and what areas they're in.
There are. So I actually have a link on my website that is specifically 55 and older active adult communities that has listed, and just even information about the individual 55 and older communities. There's, and they're all over East and West Valley. One of the big ones that's in the West Valley, not too far from Buckeye, is in Goodyear, and that's called Pebble Creek. And they are, I'm going to put two words together. They are ginormous. They have, Olympic size indoor and outdoor pools. They have their own library. They have their own rec center. They have a workout facility. They have their own restaurant, golf, pickleball, tennis, like every activity that you can imagine. They do lots of crafts. So that's really for the really active adult. And then we have a lot of communities where people like to live there just because they are big golf fanatics and they want to do golf. A lot of them are gated as well, which, our 55 and older community love that. But they're beautiful subdivisions. There's one that's in Queen Creek that's really, really popular. It's called Encantera. And they are just beautiful. They're behind a gate. It's, as soon as you go inside, it's nothing but green, golf, common air. I mean, it's just gorgeous. It's like its own little community right smack dab in the middle of Queen Creek, Santan Valley area. But yeah, those are probably the two biggest, most popular ones here if you're looking for something West Valley versus East Valley. But in between there, Sun Lakes is a very popular subdivision, and that's in the city of Sun Lakes, which is kind of part of Chandler. Power Ranch has a 55 and older subdivision there. Down here in Arizona, in Chandler, I call Riggs Road Retirement Row, because there's like one subdivision after the next. There's Sun Lakes and then Solera and Sunbird. Like there's lots and lots of them there, but they are located. Eastmark, which is one of the big communities in East Mesa, has within that community a 55 and older. So it's really nice for families that want to be there with their kids, but then the seniors are not far from them in there, but in their own gated portion of that community.
Gotcha. And what is the difference between East and West Valley? I mean, as far as, is it landscape? Is it one's really more commercially built up? Or
we kind of call everything that's on the east side of the 10 freeway East Valley, and then everything that's on, not the 10 freeway, everything that is on the east side of Ahwatukee, which is part of Phoenix. And that's where the 10 freeway heads east. So everything that's on the east side of that is really East Valley, and everything on the west side of that is West Valley.
Gotcha.
And the biggest difference to me is that East Valley is more, if you don't want to be smack dab in the middle of the city, there's lots of traffic and lots of things going on, and you want to be able to go hang out over there and go, have access to that stuff all the time. That's more West Valley. If you want to be home, residential, smaller mom and pop shops, easy access to everything you need, but to feel like you're more residential, that's more East Valley.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great. Yolana, is there anything else that we may have breezed over and not talked about that might be important to discuss?
Well, I can just tell you that Arizona is a great place to live. Our worst weather is monsoon season, which lasts for, 3 months of the year. And that's just where it's hot, but then it rains. And so we get a little bit of humidity during that time. But it's not bad. Last year, we didn't even have a monsoon season, which is good. But I would rather do dry heat any time of day than not. Arizona is always going to be a great place for schools, a great place for work. and just a great place, I think, to call home for people that want to just be able to go out and enjoy easy access to community amenities and just things that they need and feel like, you know, that they're safe and taken care of and just affordable living.
I
Even
love
though our prices are going up, it's still
Yeah,
affordable.
yeah, but still you have, I mean, tell us real quick before we wrap up about taxes there.
Our property taxes are not based on values of our homes. Arizona is an employment grid-driven state. And so our property taxes are really based on what the fiscal budget for the state is, what they need for schools and roads and all of that stuff. And so our taxes are not anything like what they are in California. That's for sure. The house that we just sold last year, our taxes were probably about $4,000 for the year. So the property taxes are not high, but that was a really, nice, it was 2,700 square foot single level home, but that was built in 2015. We were the original owners of that home. And so our property taxes were about $4,000 a year, but we had that included us having a pool. We share a little bit more for homes that have pools. And so they're not too bad.
Oh, huh. So they're reassessed every year depending upon the fiscal environment.
Right. Yeah. And most of the time the property taxes don't go up, but such a small amount. But I think that on the financing side, they kind of calculate that in. So you typically have enough in escrow. If you have a shortage, they'll just ask you to come in with something, or if you overpay, they'll do something else. But we didn't really have periods where our mortgage payment changed because of the taxes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, Yolana, thank you so much for your time. It's always such a pleasure to see you and talk to you about all things real estate. And I'm very grateful to you for all your friendship and your support. And just, I feel so honored to work with you and your family. And so I thank you for that and being a guest today. If any of you may have, this information may have piqued your interest in any way, you can really reach out to me via email or phone at 626-714-6808 or at cynthia@cynthiacohn.com. Yolana, what is your email address and phone number and your website so we can take a look at that list of 55 plus communities?
Well, thank you first off for inviting me to come on the Fireside Chat. I always enjoy doing anything with you. I just think that you are a magnificent person, and I'm glad to be part of the circle. My phone number is 480-290-1009. That's my direct number. My email address is Yolana, Y as in yellow, OLANA, Isham, ISHAM as in Mary, Realty, REALTY @gmail.com. And my web address is www.exitrealtyexpandedvision.com.
Fantastic, Yolana. Thank you so much. And again, I am the owner and broker of Cynthia Cohn and Associates, one of the very few women-owned residential real estate brokerages in the state of California. I've been practicing for almost 20 years. I love what I do. We work by referral here and really focus, my firm focuses on 3 core values. One is protection. So all of our clients ensuring that they are protected. Number 2, ensuring that they are cared for along the way. Many of our families, moving is one of the top 5 stressors in life. So we're here to make sure that you also are not only protected, but you're cared for as well. And then absolutely, you all always deserve the maximum results. And you need it and deserve it most when you are selling or buying your largest asset. Yes. So I will be sending out a follow-up email with more information, including Yolana's contact information. And I know that she would be more than happy to answer any of your questions and connect with you, and maybe even meet you in Arizona and help you find a place to live. So thank you again for everybody joining me tonight with a fireside chat. And I hope you all have a fantastic evening. Thank you, Yolana.
Thank you, Cynthia.
So good to see you, and I will talk to you soon.
Sounds good.
All right.
Bye,
Thanks
everybody.
so much, everybody. Good night.
Bye.